Right, we're going. Give it a second to upload on my phone.
Okay, I'll give you a trigger everything to work. There we go.
Yep, there we go. We're going.
Thanks, Bruce. Leave it there. Just give me that. So I'm working back on my dongle.
Yes, thank you.
Good fun, isn't it?
Hey?
Good fun.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Also, last night.
We had it all set up last night, ready to go. Just bring it down here and cook it in. Nothing worked. Could have come to me before.
I know, but we shouldn't hear it on this. There should be silence there until you hit transition. Then you should be able to hear it on your phone.
Oh, I only want to hit transition. Oh, you're right, I believe it. I've got it. Thank you. Back on the phone.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Am I too? Yep, but somebody.
Hey, got technology!
Thanks, mate. Hey? I'd like to get this thing switched across to bloody transition.
Righto.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Could I ask all of the candidates to please come forward and sit in the chairs at the front, please? Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for coming along and being part of the Inverell Chamber of Commerce and Industry Meet the Candidates evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Peter Caddy. I'm actually the Manager of Tourism and Marketing for Inverell Shire. I'm a member of the Promotions Committee for the Inverell Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It's my distinct pleasure and honour to have been asked to be your Master of Ceremonies for this evening. Just before we get started, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting this evening. I pay my respects to elders, past, present, and elders emerging, and any other communities who may be here this evening. So we have some rules, very simple rules, so that this thing doesn't turn into a chook raffle, which it wouldn't anyway, because we've got some fantastic candidates here who are all very, very high calibre. So basically, just also for you in the audience, ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know, each candidate is going to be given 3 minutes to have a little bit of a chat about potential policies that they're interested in, the platforms that they be wishing to stand for, and what have you. There will be a warning bell at 2 minutes. There will be a final bell at 3 minutes, at which time the speaker's time will have expired. Now, each candidate will be speaking this evening. We do have 2 members, as you can see, on Zoom who are unable to be here this evening. Wendy Wilkes will be speaking first tonight, and then we will be going in alphabetical order so as to make the night as fair as possible. It was the fairest way that we could see to get the speakers going. But unfortunately, Wendy has another meeting she has to attend, so she's going to be going first. You will know her name is with or starts with a W. So it's all good. So we ask that each of the candidates speak about their reasons for wanting to be on council. We also ask that you do not speak negatively about any other candidates. Should that happen, we will be stopping you from speaking. We don't want any negativity here this evening. I know there won't be any, but we do need to go through that as well, just to inform you. We will be sanitising the microphone after each speaker, so you won't have to worry about any of that. So we're following COVID protocols to the T, absolutely. After each of the speakers has concluded, we will be taking questions from the floor. So if you do have anything that you wish to ask, we do ask that you would raise your hand so that we can bring the microphone over to you so that the candidates can clearly hear the question that is being asked. And we are limiting responses from the candidates to 90 seconds for those responses to those questions. Otherwise, the election will be over before we finish the meeting candidates evening. So that's where we are going to run that. So thank you very much. As I said, very simple rules, and not really rules, but just suggestions as such. So thank you very much. And we'd like to now introduce each of the candidates to you, just for ease of operation. We have a couple on the screen. We have the current Mayor of Inverell Shire, Councillor Paul Harmon, also candidate Wendy Wilkes. Also like to introduce current Councillor Di Baker, current Councillor Stuart Berryman, current Councillor Kate Dyte, and current Councillor Jackie Watts. We'd also like to introduce our new candidate standing for election this time around. I'd like to introduce to you candidate Nikki Lavender. Candidate, I didn't even know his name was John, Jacko Ross. And also candidate Wendy Williams, Joe Williams. Sorry, I've got things going on everywhere. Did I mention you, Kate Dyte? I did introduce you? Good, that's okay. I thought I went down the list, but I got myself flustered there for a moment. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will be commencing with our Meet the Candidates evening right now. And our first cab off the rank, I'm just going to turn the lights off just so you can see a little bit easier for the screen. I'd like to introduce to you candidate Wendy Wilkes.
I've unmuted myself, Peter, if that's okay. Right, am I right to go? Okay. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for running Meet the Candidate for all of us to contribute. I am double booked, as you heard, and having the chance of doing it on Zoom. I was born in Inverell into a family of 6 and was fortunate to have a great upbringing in this town. Bruce and I have 4 children and 3 additional children who live with us from their early teens as loved family. They all have families of their own now, and we enjoy shared claim to 20 grandchildren. We have been in business for 45 years in the service industry, manufacturing, the retail space, and I understand the operation and economics of business. And any decisions made should always have a cost-benefit ratio applied. The last 13 years I've been with Telstra, and learning how a corporation works helps me to understand the mechanics of how to make positive change in a difficult environment. My vision for our Inverell Shire region is to achieve better services for the Shire by growing the population, helping farming economies, building on our industries. A council team approach as a voice for the people of the Shire to bring attention to the challenges we face, especially in the area of health services to our town. We have too few doctors, and the ones we have are under pressure and overloaded. Listening to the medical issues in Inverell with a view to helping improve and add to what we have. Hearing from health professionals and hospital staff. These may not be local council responsibilities, but if we aren't pushing for the responsible parties to hear us, nothing will change. To encourage new business to town, we don't want any part of the growing Shire community left out. Moving forward, we need to support and help our businesses and employees get back to work as normal and support locals like we did our farmers in the drought. The outgoing council has done an awesome job of presentation of Inverell. This helps promote population growth and increase services as we all work together. I'll be new to the team if elected, and we'll take an active interest in all projects and opportunities by first listening and learning from those who have a greater knowledge about whatever we're discussing. And I'll be listening for those who are also impacted by decisions made. We're so lucky to have great water, not all shires do. I'm also interested in methods of ensuring energy security too. There are many developing options, and I'd like to see Inverell Shire lead the way in design and innovation. All those voices need to be heard, and I want to put forward ideas from constituents and treat all with respect, even if I perhaps don't agree. I want to be like Darryl Barnes. What a great asset he was. I've worked on the airline committee to bring the airline we have to Inverell, Chamber of Commerce, Meals on Wheels, Regional Advisory Council are a few. I've sponsored events over the years for both sporting and community. And the last thing, I love our beautiful town and the people of this vibrant Shire. I will be listening for what we can do, not what we can't. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, Wendy. If you wouldn't mind using the microphone, that would be much appreciated. Thank you very much.
No worries.
I'd now like to invite current councillor Di Baker to please come up and address you.
I'd like firstly to thank the Chamber of Commerce for putting on this event for us. I am Diana Baker, but please call me Di. I was first elected in 1999 and it has been a privilege to serve the community, and I hope I am re-elected as a councillor. I will bring experience, education and full knowledge of local government New South Wales and Inverell Shire's governance practices and policies. I will work well with all levels of government. To that end, I have chosen financial capacity as a priority. You would all agree that having the funds to maintain and improve our Shire must be our goal. Inverell Shire Council is held in very high regard throughout New South Wales for its good financial management. I will ensure that this will continue. I stand for a healthy community, a healthy environment, a growing population, an expanding regional business centre backed by economic development. Inverell Shire is part of the RES, which is the Renewable Energy Zone. It is the way of the future, which I support. There is a promising future which we as a council will pursue. Inverell Shire is a great Shire, and I really love the environment we live in. The people that are here are very positive, and it is really heartwarming for me to know that over the years I have made a difference. I've chaired the Civil and Environmental Committee over the past 5 years. We accomplished to spend, just one item that we deal with, $85 million on roads. I think that is the largest amount in one term of council. But it is imperative to maintain and keep improving our road network. I have been the Shire's library delegate for many years. The library has doubled its size under my delegation. My husband and I have been involved in the equestrian field for most of our life, and I'm the delegate for the Inverell Equestrian Council, and I've helped find the grant money for a 30-stable building. I also have worked very hard at the equestrian ground. I have been with Operation Operating Room Limited for a long time, since 2006. We have donated nearly $300,000 to the Inverell Hospital. Recently, I did not stand for the position of chair. I decided that it was time that somebody else took over that responsibility, and Kerry Hall has taken on that. The equipment was purchased for giving our community members a better hospitalisation experience. I am a member of the Local Hospital Advisory Committee as well, and I do work very hard to improve our health. I would like to say that I graduated with a Bachelor of Urban and Regional Planning. I'm approachable, and I would like to continue to make Inverell Shire a better place for all of us. So please consider voting Di 1.
Thank you very much, Di. I apologise to any of the candidates downwind of the microphone. It'll be rather interesting. I'd like to ask candidate Stuart Berryman to please come forward.
Thank you, Peter. That's the right height, I'll be right. To the Chamber of Commerce, thanks for organising the seminar. It's pleasing to know that we can actually at least get to a few people and tell them what we're about. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about here, just a little bit of paper. My history, if you don't know me, I was married, 3 kids. My wife passed away 10 years ago. I've been in business in town I was in business in town for probably 35 years, running 2 or 3 businesses together. I first joined council, first elected to council in 1994 for 9 years. I then took a sabbatical and tried to consolidate my businesses, and then decided after my wife died that I would have another crack at council, give me something to do. In that first 9 years, Inverell forged ahead pretty well under the council at the time. I was heavily involved in the River Care Committee, which gives us the great river walks that we have at the moment. Very heavily involved in that. I was very heavily involved in procuring the tourist centre, the current tourist centre, which I think is the best tourist centre in New South Wales. Well, I think Peter Caddy would probably vouch for that. Other things that I was involved in, I was chairman of planning and development when the Bruderhof came. I was chairman of finance after that. But may I say, having said that, that you can't do these things without your fellow councillors. You've got to have that cooperation, that cohesion. You've got to learn to count. When it comes to voting, you've got to know how you're going. And of course, you've got to compromise. There's no doubt about that. You will get defeated on a lot of things, but you'll win a few things. And the beauty about it is that you're helping your community, and I get great pleasure out of that. In my personal life, I've been the president of the golf club, and I've, as I said, president of the River Care Committee. I've tied up in the bowling club. I'm on the board of directors of the RSL sub-branch. So as you can see, I've been very heavily involved in the community in all the years that I've been here, and that's, I came here when I was 15 to get a job, and I'm still here. Going forward, the thing that I'm passionate about is the roads. I think that we've got to maintain roads in a top standard. We've got to remember that we don't use 10-tonne trucks very often on the roads these days. They're all higher mass limits, they're all B triples, B doubles, that type of thing. So we've got to make sure that we upgrade that road system so that we're going forward in that regard. The thing that I'd like to see in the future is the completion of the Aquatic Complex, which is on the books at the moment. I would love to see that through, as I used to be president of the swimming club. It's heavily involved in the way the pool complex is structured at the moment. The other thing, I think, going forward, I think this town really needs a major indoor sporting centre. And that's going forward, not today, but going forward for the boys club, for the basketball, for netball, indoor netball, that type of thing. The other thing outside of the region is I believe that we need to push the federal government with the railhead coming with the inland rail to make sure that we actually build a new structure over the Guada River at Gravesend. And I think that's economically sound for the whole community, not just in Guada. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Could I ask Kate Dyche please to come forward?
Thank you, Pete. And thank you very much to the Chamber of Commerce for having this tonight, because it's a great opportunity for all of us to come and introduce ourselves to you, and particularly for me, coming from out of town. It's really important that you guys get the opportunity to see us, to ask us some questions. So look, my name is Kate Dyche. I hold a slightly different profile to the rest of us in that I'm a school teacher from a farm at Yepman. Yepman has been jokingly termed by my fellow councillors as the northern burbs of Inverell, but it's actually 120 kilometres north. And our council area is huge, with our boundary extending as far as the Queensland border. This is why I've teamed up with our Mayor, Paul Harmon. Together, our interests and our priorities can represent a vast majority of people who live in our Shire. We have many platforms that aim to strengthen our communities and provide fundamental economic development. So for me particularly, these platforms hinge on the growth of renewables, attracting these developments. We are a non-extractive industry Shire, and the next 10 years can provide us with a huge opportunity for solar, wind, hydro, green hydrogen. You know, the whole community can benefit from these projects if we are willing to say yes to it. Keeping our roads infrastructure and our network in the best possible state it can be in. We all take our roads for granted, and yet they are critical to the livelihoods of every single one of us who live in this Shire. Telecommunications. We must have fast internet speed for the future, and the 5G network is coming. Elon Musk's Starlink satellite network is being rolled out, and I want to make sure it's available to us. I've strongly advocated for all things cultural. Following the Council's reinstatement of the Arts Northwest membership, we've had some excellent shows come to our communities. The last 2 years have been made by COVID, but we've still had Good with Maths, Hellship, Women Like Us, Shoot and Sadie, Festival Small Halls, Melbourne International Comedy Festival, and we've got some great shows coming in 2022. Our art exhibitions are super popular, and the cultural flair in our community is taking off. We're being recognised as an artistic epicentre. So I know this because I was one of the ones who sorted out all the community sponsorship for the art prize just this year gone, and for the first time people were actually willing to talk to me and bring me back. So finally, I support any project that really develops our agricultural enterprises. This sector is the backbone of our economy. Having businesses such as Bindery, Beef and Boss Engineering are absolutely critical to our Shire, and developing core industry business like this is hugely important. So I'm no longer the councillor or the candidate who was standing here in 2016. 2015 in such a novice way. I want to advocate for and show you my experience and the skill grows with every council interaction I'm faced with. I can communicate, listen to your issues, try to do something about them. I believe I can add balance and grassroots community representation to this important group of leaders for our powerful local government area. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Our candidate Phil Girl was not able to be here this evening, so we'll now move on to Paul Harmon. If you could unmute yourself, please, Mr. Harmon.
Are we right now?
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for the opportunity to actually be here. It's a shame I can't see everybody. All I'm looking at is a picture of Wendy and myself, and a picture of Peter Caddy in a sailor's hat with a pair of binoculars. So it's quite an interesting evening. But I want to actually acknowledge my fellow councillors, and I also want to acknowledge the candidates that are standing for election for the new term of council for 2021. As Peter has said, my name is Paul Harmon. I've been elected to council, first elected to council in 2004, and served since then, and I was first elected mayor at the September meeting of 2012. I've had the great privilege of being representative for our Inverell community. Like all candidates, we want to certainly see Inverell thrive and grow, and that's what first encouraged me to actually stand for council. Back when I had a conversation with Barry Johnson many years ago. It was actually February 2004 when we actually had that conversation. And look, and I've enjoyed my time on council. I certainly haven't taken it for granted, and I want to see the Inverell community thrive and grow. Look, our community is the envy of a lot of councils around our region, and part of that is the fact of the vision that elected councillors have, as well as the working relationship they have with staff. I know people want to hear about my vision for the future, but I think it's important to actually reflect on the fact that we've had a very progressive council. We don't have any sort of party politics within council, and I think that's important for people to understand, in fact that's what makes our community grow. If you look around, the amount of work that the current council and councils previous have actually provided for our community, it has been absolutely enormous. We've had so much infrastructure growth within our community, and that has been with the working relationship we've actually had with our council, our senior staff, and also our local members, which actually makes our council the envy of a lot of other councils. And I'm hoping that the people that are in the room tonight, which I cannot see, and also those that are viewing this online, actually consider a number of the current councils, but also quite a number of the new faces that actually stand for the council, because I'm a great believer in the fact of looking at not only when you need current councillors to be there, but you also need a program where you actually have new councillors coming on, so you actually have that regeneration of new faces and new ideas coming to council. So my take is the fact that thank you very much for the opportunity to be here this evening, but also the fact of looking forward to the future, but also making sure we have a steady current leadership and also current councillors to actually continue into the future. And thank you very much for being part of this evening.
Thank you very much, Paul. Now, candidate Paul King was also unable to be here this evening, so that brings us up to Nicole, Nikki, Lavender.
Thanks, Pete. Again, thank you to the Chamber for hosting tonight. It's fantastic to have this opportunity. So for me, and the reason why I've put my hand up is that I want to make a difference in the community that I love. I want to bring representation to the working families of our Inverell Shire. A little bit about me, so I am relatively local. I grew up in Lavender and went to school there, and then came here and finished high school here in Inverell High. I was fortunate enough to secure a traineeship with Cameron Kirk-Rose back then, now called Findex, and spent 17 years in the accounting and audit space. So I had a client base as an audit partner and principal of Pro Hallworth then across the New England Northwest and into the Northern Rivers, and learnt so many skills whilst working in that corporate space and interacted with so many amazing organisations, as well as developing relationships with some of the leaders within our region. About 6 years ago, I flipped that and left the accounting world and joined Inverell District Family Services. So I took on the role of CEO there. It was very much an opportunity to sort of spend some time with family, not travel as much, and really focus on myself and put to work the skills that I've learned in the corporate world of accounting and audit. So I'm the leader of that team. We have about 90 staff and operate 10 early childhood services across the Inverell Shire. I'm married to Barney, and we have 2 kids, Amber, who's 20, and Tara, who's 14. And ultimately, for me, I'm all about investing in our community and building those relationships. I feel like I've got the experience to hit the ground running. I have a degree in commerce. I'm a certified practicing accountant, have strong governance skills and understanding. I've just finished up a 3-year term as the independent member of the Audit Risk Improvement Committee with Inverell Shire. I was the Chamber President for 2 years and part of the executive for 6. I suppose I give back to my community wherever I can, and that's why I've put my hand up this time. I do feel that I represent maybe a different generation and bring forward some fresh ideas. I think we're extremely fortunate for the state in which our local government in Inverell is in. We have had an amazing council with vision and those that have thought beyond today, and that's what I want to do. I want to learn from those that are in the role already and the amazing council team that we have, and give my little bit back to the community. So that's me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nikki. And I'd like to ask, while he's still standing, before he sits down again, Jacko Ross to come forward.
Thank you, Peter, and good evening to everybody here. As Peter said, my name is John Ross, but not many people in Inverell or the whole Shire would know me as John Ross, but my name is Jacko. It was a nickname from my grandfather when I was 2 years old, and it seems to have stuck to me all my life. So I've contacted the Electrical Commission, and they've decided to put Jacko on the ballot paper, so you'll be able to find me. I grew up and went to school in Bundara, came to Inverell when I was 14, and I've been here all my life, except for a couple of years in the Army, which included 12 months in Vietnam. I have not put my name forward because the council are not doing a good job. In fact, it's complete opposite to that. I wouldn't have put my name down if there wasn't any vacancies on the council. I think the current council is very progressive council, and done some great things by getting the water from Copeland Dam to supply water to Inverell, Delungra, Gilgai and Tingo was a great thing. We have some great sporting facilities in our area. Our parks and gardens are beautiful. Copeland Foreshores, a lot of work done out there, and that's great. And the Main Street upgrade, I think, was a great project. My long-term involvement I've had with several organisations in Inverell, including the sub-branch, Legacy, and I have been part of this board of the club here for the last 30 years, 22 years. The last 22 years has been chairman of the board. The experience and the courses I've completed in that time in human resources, finance, governance and meeting procedures, I think give me a step up to what is required if I should be elected to this council. I had 20 years volunteer driving with Harmon Community Care, with weekly trips to Armidale and Tamworth, taking district residents for doctor's appointments in Armidale and Tamworth. And I have seen firsthand the need for us to encourage doctors to our area. The Inverell Shire has bounced back through bushfires, floods and droughts, and we're nice to be part of the district bouncing back after the COVID restrictions and filling the vacant shops in our town. I had a long-term employment with electricity suppliers in this Shire, and I've had involvement with all the small towns and villages in the area. I've travelled on most of the roads in our district, so I have a fair idea what may be required outside our main hub of the town of Inverell. I've always been approachable. I think I'm honest and straightforward in what I think, and I can guarantee, if elected, I'll do whatever I can to represent whoever lives in our Shire. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jacko. I'd like to ask Jackie Watts if she would please come forward.
Thank you, Peter, and good evening, and thank you to the Chamber. The recently produced lifestyle magazine featuring Inverell largely shows many aspects of our community that are exciting and inviting. To underpin and value add to this makes it vital that the level of services and growth within the boundaries of this Shire continue to not only be maintained at acceptable levels, but to expand and create a destination to be discovered, explored and lived in. That means seeking as many opportunities for funding from both state and federal governments in support of many aspects of our infrastructure, such as the proposed upgrade of the Aquatic Centre, the Tinga Bridge roundabout and our vast road network. Working with all stakeholders in the community and finding ways to assist in growth and future development. Certainly, we need to keep pushing for more doctors. However, we shouldn't neglect the allied health areas either. The importance of mental wellness, support for special needs, speech therapy, just to name a few, shouldn't be forgotten. We need to advocate strongly in these areas just as we do for infrastructure needs. I also support concerns around family violence. We need to continue to strongly say no to violence and to be aware of how we can assist entities and people who deal with these issues on a regular basis. I have appreciated being a councillor and would like to continue to represent you on a council that is sustainable while at the same time growing, able not only to deal with the little matters, but to grasp the impact of the bigger picture. I would like to acknowledge the council staff for our improved CBD with well-maintained colourful roundabouts, more walking paths, upgraded sporting grounds, etc. All of this adds to the character of our town, along with the improved Kirkton foreshore and Lake Inverell providing wonderful recreational opportunities. I would like to continue representing Delungra and endeavour to assist the village where able. Being a councillor means having an open mind, prepared to look at all possibilities and whether they can be turned into probabilities. A councillor is in some ways wielding a two-edged sword. I know I won't be able to please everyone, but I am accountable to you, the community, and responsible for undertaking my duties in an honest, open and transparent manner. I would like to continue to be a voice for you. I don't make promises because when promises are broken, trust is lost. I do, however, assure you of my time, and if you have an issue, I will meet with you, either answer your query, get it on an agenda, or put you in touch with someone on council who has greater knowledge than I. I would like to wish my fellow candidates all the best in this election. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Our final candidate for this evening is Joe Williams.
Thank you everybody for coming along tonight, and also thank you to the Chamber for organising this night. My name's Joe Williams. I grew up in Inverell and have been married to my husband Peter for 35 years. We have 4 adult daughters and 4 grandchildren and 1 on the way. For the past 25 years, Peter and I have run a sheep and cattle raising enterprise near Lavender. This has given me a very real, first-hand experience of the many challenges facing our farming families. I have a broad range of business and people skills, which I believe will give me a balanced approach as a councillor. I work well with others and am known as a team player. I take a considered approach when making decisions, taking into account the information available and the impact of any action taken. My business experience includes 12 years as a small business owner and 10 years as manager of the Inverell Art Gallery. I've supported local healthcare as a director of Operation Operating Room Limited for the past 11 years, raising almost $300,000 for purchased equipment for Inverell Hospital. My vision for Inverell Shire is for us to be a progressive and prosperous council. Quality of lifestyle for all our residents is my main priority and my reason for standing. When assessing any proposal before council, I will always be asking myself, how will this affect our quality of lifestyle? To me, quality of lifestyle means having a clean, safe environment to live, work and play in. It means having a strong business community to provide stable employment, especially for our young people, to encourage them to stay in our area. It means having fast, reliable telecommunications so we can work, trade and transact anywhere in the world when we want. It means having roads and infrastructure to support transportation in and out of our shire. It means having affordable housing, especially for young families and the more vulnerable in our community. It means having cultural and recreation facilities, sporting fields, art galleries, skate parks, swimming pools, public halls, all the things that add a richness to our lives. Quality of lifestyle also means having access to doctors and medical treatment when needed. We are facing a very real crisis at the moment and need to find ways to address this issue, whether it be through council-assisted accommodation for doctors or offering scholarships to medical students in return for a fixed term of service. These and other options need to be explored. And finally, I want to improve the quality of lifestyle, not just in the short term, but for future generations as well. I want to be part of a progressive and prosperous council that isn't afraid to take on bigger projects and leave a lasting legacy. Thank you so much for your time, everybody, and please remember to vote one Joe Williams. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please show our appreciation to all of the candidates this evening. Sorry folks, I'm just going to turn this other microphone down a bit. We just had to have that one pumped up a little bit, so I'll have to bring that back down just while we get ourselves organised here. So ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to move on to the next phase of the evening, which is questions from the floor. Should you have a question, I would ask that you raise your hand, and also for the candidates, if you have a response which you would like to share, if you wouldn't mind raising your hand as well, so that we can bring a microphone over to you and get that underway. And of course, we'll have opportunities for the Zoom participants to take part in that as well. So once again, Zoom participants, Wendy and Paul, if you have a response to a question that's asked, if you wouldn't mind raising your hand as well, actually visually, not the little button on the screen there. If you actually physically raise your hand, we'll get to you as well. So thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, do we have any questions? Yes, we've got one up the back here already, starting away. Just one up here. And then I'll come back.
Thank you, Peter. For the last 4 years,
I've been hearing about the proposed animal welfare, animal shelter. Now, this is intended to replace the outdated and totally inadequate pound which we have. 4 years is a long while to wait for something that hasn't materialised as yet. I haven't heard any candidates speak of this, but I think it's the most important issue, particularly from an animal welfare perspective. So I would like to know which candidates are prepared to work to expedite the completion of this very important project. And if they'd like to speak to me privately prior to the election, I'd be very happy to do that as well.
Thank you very much, Ron. Candidate Paul Harmon, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself and responding, please.
Thank you, Peter. Good evening, Ron. I'm sorry I can't see you, but I recognise your voice. We've had many conversations around the fact of the upgraded Inverell pound, and I know we've had recent contact probably earlier this year in relation to that. I can let you know that there's been some major developments in relation to the redesigning of the council works depot to include a new pound complex, and with the assistance of the federal government funding, there is an opportunity and there's planning in the process to totally redesign and upgrade the Inverell pound. Unfortunately, it hasn't actually appeared in this term of the council's scope of works, but certainly it is a project that is well underway and planning is in process, and I'm quite happy to chat to you offline to bring you up to speed as to where that actually is happening. But I can assure you that it certainly is on council's radar, and as soon as funding is available, we'll be able to apply for that. We've actually applied for that now, and certainly allocating funds to actually make sure that actually takes place.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have a response for that question?
Thank you. I've been looking into this problem for quite some years, and we have selected a site, we have drawn up plans. What we don't have at the moment is necessary funding, which we're working towards getting, and as soon as we can put all of those factors together, we will have the best animal shelter that is in the area. It's going to be very good. So we are definitely aware of our problem, and we are definitely working towards solving it. We just need a little bit more time to organise other factors around it.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions from the floor? You're very quiet. I know we have a question at the back.
Yeah, hi everybody. I know I walked in late, so I apologise for missing the majority of your speeches. The United Services Union, the union that represents the vast majority of workers in the Inverell Shire, and indeed we have around 30,000 members across New South Wales. I myself don't live in Inverell, so I just needed to declare that to begin with, but I work for the USU, so we represent most of the members, so I just wanted to make sure I was clear on that up front. The USU have a campaign going on at the moment that's 100% bipartisan in regards to securing local services, local council services by council workers. And the pledge, if you would indulge me for a very short period of time, the pledge states that candidates were asking you to commit to this, to keep local council jobs local, to support council training and apprenticeships, to maintain core council services using council labour, to reject the misuse of labour hire contractors and casual employees, and to oppose the outsourcing and privatisation of council services. We see this as a very crucial campaign in order to maintain, particularly in communities like this, to maintain council staff with permanent, secure work. And what we want to know is, are you all prepared to be on board and commit to this campaign?
Councillor Candidate Baker.
Thank you. Look, the USU do some brilliant work. I'm a member of ALGA and they always sponsor our conference and they're very supportive of activities that happen within local government. However, we have a policy in our council that we do use local labour and we do use local equipment at all possible opportunities, but our improvements and our progressive way of thinking means that our staff simply cannot do the workload that is required. They always use our staff and our equipment first, but there are particular items that cannot be met by the capacity that we have. So we do have to employ contractors on a case-by-case basis as required, but it's never the first choice.
Candidate Paul Harmon.
Thank you, Peter. I just unmute myself. I'm sorry, I didn't catch the speaker's name, but certainly, look, Inverell Shire Council's had a policy and it's continued in the past and sort of continues in the future. The fact of growing our own. We're very strong in advocating in the fact of training our own staff. We know and you'd be aware of the fact that shortage of skilled labour right around New South Wales, and not only probably just in New South Wales, in engineering, that's just one factor. So certainly our council has always grown the tone. We certainly make sure that we use, and as Councillor Bates said, we will certainly make sure we use all our staff first, and of course as the pressures will come on with workload, the council is actually right at the moment, we then have to look at contractors to actually do that work. But certainly council has a policy where, and it's a policy where I'm very proud to say that we use our council staff before we actually bring in contractors, and that's been something that has been in statute for quite some time, and certainly if I'm re-elected, we certainly want to make sure that goes in the future, but a very strong campaign in relation to growing our own staff, in-house training to make sure that we've got quality staff that we can actually have to provide quality of services for our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Candidate Jackie Watts.
Thank you. I think it's evident that council would want to continue to do that, certainly in terms of using our own staff. But I think it's also along the lines of what I said about being a two-edged sword. There are times when we can't use our staff, either because they're already being used in other areas or they don't have that particular skill. And I think part of being council says that you don't just do the one thing. You have to be prepared to do more than one thing. So in some, I think a good example might be the coaching foreshores. A lot of that work was to be done by local contractors. That was part of the funding arrangement. And we saw young tradesmen out there doing the work. So I'm not diminishing the work of our council staff in any manner, but the reality is, in a smaller country town, we won't be able to always use the staff all of the time. And to do that, I don't think is being fair to our community and helping our community people to have jobs as well. As the Mayor and Councillor Baker said, we will use them first, but we may not be able to do it all the time. We need to keep an open mind as to how we can best do it to work for everybody. And that's it.
Thank you, Candidate Watts. Do we have any other questions from the floor?
Hello, my name is Fiona Adams. I will first of all say that I do work for council. I'm here as a voter tonight, and obviously I'm aware that there are a large number of female candidates up for election this year, and also from social media I'm aware that there's a large number of those female candidates who have voiced campaigns along the lines of gender equality. I'm interested, probably in line with those comments that we've just had, in terms of council staff, female staff members are under 20% of council's total numbers of staff. I'm wondering if there are there any thoughts amongst the potential candidates or current candidates up there on how they see that evolving over the next 4 years?
Candidate Nikki Lavender.
Thanks, Fiona, for that question. I love it. Definitely agree, and I suppose I have provided that as a bit of a platform for one of the reasons of standing, and fortunate enough to have some amazing candidates putting their hand up as well. But I do see it as a significant issue in regards to representation. When you do the flip side of it, and the point I've made is that our not-for-profit space, we actually have all of our larger not-for-profits in Inverell led by women in the CEO roles or general manager roles, and then a high level of them are leaders not just within Inverell but within the wider region and within the state. So for me, I think it has to be a priority, and it does start at the top. So it starts at the elected councillors, and it's equal representation as candidates are elected. I feel if we can start there, so if we can get 50% females elected into the council this year, I think that's the first step that we need to make. And a barrier to women in leadership roles and in employment is childcare. And for me personally, and I see that as a huge issue, and that's where I sit in my role. So I'll continue to work on that. On a side note in my professional, but I think it starts from the top.
Candidate Baker, and then candidate Berryman.
Thank you. Yes, Fiona, look, that is a problem that has been ongoing for so long. We, when I say we mean ALPA, Australian Local Government Women's Association. The 3 existing lady councillors here are members of ALPA who support women working in local government, women elected to local government, and women who are just interested in supporting women in local government. It is a problem, but we are creeping ever so slowly towards having some equality. But where we find the real issue is in the higher ranks of the employees. Unfortunately, employees are in the sole control of the general manager. We, as councillors, can only comment on the general manager. He controls all the staff. But I have met several female general managers, and they are excellent. So there's a long way to go, but ALPA is an organisation to join and to be supportive of women. We offer a scholarship every year for an employee who is a member to further their education in one way or another so they can climb the corporate ladder. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Candidate Baker. Sorry, you didn't need that ear. Candidate Berryman.
At least I won't be able to hear the brickbats that I get now, will I? Look, I'm a little bit older than most of the other councillors, and when I joined way back in 1994, there was very, very few female councillors. Over the years, it's gradually built up. I'm all for equality, I think it's great. The fact is, I don't know that we have to push that equality and get people that aren't qualified in those top jobs. Back when I joined, I don't think there was a female general manager anywhere in New South Wales. There are a few now, which is good, but they've got there because they've broken the glass ceiling. They've earned their way there. You can't just hire a general manager because she's a female. She's got to be able to do the job. And it's the same with all the staff. And I think that we've got, we've got a lot of female staff that I see in our council, but then I don't see half the staff anymore because I'm not allowed in the back door. But really, I'm all for equality. I think it's great. But I do believe that, in all fairness to the whole male species, that we've got to earn our way there. We've got to earn our keep. And other than that, that's all I've got to say on that matter. I think equality is great.
Thank you very much.
I'll just bring the microphone over to candidate Williams.
Thank you, Fiona. I think we've got a lot of really great, strong female candidates this year who will really help to lead council. I am very disappointed though with council, very few females in that upper management area in council. They do tend to be the lower office workers and not so much in that upper management area. And I think we really do need to do what we can to make that change. There definitely are many women who are qualified to take on those jobs. A lot of the time we're also the caregivers, caring for our families, but there's definitely many women who have the qualification and skills to take on those upper management roles. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jo. Do we have any further... Oh, sorry, beg your pardon. Candidate Dyke.
Thank you. And look, I really concur with all the comments that have been made, but I would like to really say that having been a female councillor in this last term, I think we're seeing the wings of change. I think it's changing in front of our eyes, and I have felt particularly well supported as a female in this council that we've just had. Honestly, Councillor Watts and Councillor Baker have been instrumental in teaching me and helping me and supporting me. So I think this council is changing as our society is changing, and we just need to take that, you know, as a consolation, knowing that it's going to continue to get better for the future.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other further questions from the floor, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, sorry, hang on. we only saw his bed a minute ago. He's back. No, I'm just joking. Mr. Harmon.
Thank you, Peter. I needed a quick restroom break. Look, thank you, Fiona, and I take it from your question. You're only talking about councillors that are female, and I'd like to sort of say that I've supported in the last term of council. I've supported Councillor Watts and Councillor Dyke on my running ticket. Again, this year supporting Councillor Dyke, and I had Councillor Watts at number 3 on my ticket, so I'm a great supporter of women in local government. But I also take it from your question is in relation to the number of women we actually have employed in local government, not only just at a secretarial level or a administration level, but also in those positions of overseers or directors. And I certainly admire you for your question, and certainly I believe Inverell Council is a progressive council, and as I said before, we have a situation where we try and grow our own staff, but also I believe that we are a council that encourages the best people to apply for those positions, and certainly if we're elected, as Councillor Baker said, obviously that is in the policy around the fact that the General Manager's duty to employ staff, but as an elected group of councillors, we certainly can have an influence on policy where we encourage that we actually look to see where we can promote women within the organisation into leadership roles, and certainly I support that along with all the other candidates as well.
Thank you very much. Do we have any further questions from the floor, ladies and gentlemen?
Hello, my name's Emily, and I too work for council, but I'm here representing people, specifically young women who are aged between 18 and probably 25 or even up to 30. The thing that I have concerning is that there's not particularly a lot of activities for young people to do within the Inverell area, unless you're really into sporting and all of that sort of thing as well. And I do work with the girls in the corporate support section, so I see younger children getting catered for during the school holidays with our youth events that council do run. But I'm sort of just querying as to who potentially may be advocating for the younger people in the Inverell community, especially young women, and what you would like to do to be able to keep younger women and younger people living in Inverell.
Candidate Watts, and then candidate Knight, and then candidate Baker.
Thank you, Peter. My advice to you actually would be to contact us. Speak to me, speak to any of the women here before the election and after the election. Tell us what you think you would like. We know in terms of sport, we know those people who are sporty, not my goal. But unless we actually know what you think you might like, we can't then advocate it. But if we know what you want, then it can be brought into the discussion, into the conversation, into looking at funding, and to see what programs that we can do. So I recommend that you contact me, Jackie Watts.
Nothing like an unashamed plug at the end, is there?
Thank you, Mr. Petty. I'd just like to add here, I think it's a great question because for the first time, well, it's not the first time, is it, Mr. Harmon? But we've actually got a youth council that's been supported by our council and just put through. And I'm proud to say that I've just been elected as the representative for the youth council, and we look really forward to progressing that and bringing that to fruition and really hearing what that age group have to say and how they can contribute to our community. So that's a really big step forward in this space. I hope we'll be pushing it. Thank you. And vote 1K Dutch.
Thank you, Peter. The keeping the youth active in our community and in our community is always an issue because we find once they reach a certain level of education, they either go away for more education or they go away for employment. And we want to keep the young people in our community. It's a very difficult thing to do. One of the things that we as a council have tried to do is this youth committee, which Councillor Dart kindly accepted the nomination to be our delegate to. We also try to create great sporting facilities. But just at our last council meeting yesterday, we had a development application, DA, in front of us, and it's going to have an outdoor band, some live music, some a playground, and just a nice area for younger people to have a bit of fun at. So, look, honestly, the town is improving in that respect. It's slowly improving, but while I have the microphone, I would like to thank Fiona and her team for the amount of great work she does in getting us grants so we can go forward with our plans for different sporting activities and cultural activities. Fiona is fantastic at applying for grants and knowing what to do. So we would like to thank Fiona. All of us, I'm sure, will appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Di. There's new spray, please. Sharon again.
Great question from the young lady at the back. And there's no doubt that over the years, it's a question that's been asked of many, many councils. The young people of Inverell have got nothing to do. The thing is, we've got a councillor at the moment who's taken the job on for the youth council, and I'm not one to push myself in that regard, but if you've got her on the next council, she will make sure that there are youth activities for everyone between the age of 12 and 20 odd. And guarantee you that. She's a very vivacious, a very hard-working councillor. It's amazing. Someone rang me today and said, Stuart, why haven't you got a poster out there with who you want to vote for? I said, I think the Inverell people are smarter than me. I think they know who they want to vote for. But I would like to recommend that wherever you put someone on the ticket, make sure she's on there, because she's a very, very vivacious, a very, very hard worker, and she knows what you people want.
Thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a final call for any questions. Oh, sorry. Put your hand up higher.
Great question, and it's probably one I haven't thought of, but you're right, like in that space, and it possibly links back to Fiona's question as well in regards to women in business or women in leadership roles and staying in that employment space. There's Rotary, there's Apex, there's a million other clubs that sit in that space. It is obviously open to women and men, but generally a bit of an older demographic sitting in that space. Sporting takes a huge reign in our community, and how do we keep young women engaged in our community without having that social pressure of, oh my gosh, is that a bit dumb? Like, I really actually want to put myself out there in the community. I want to do something. I want to be part of something. I want to meet new people, but I don't play sport. So I think it is a huge issue, and it's fantastic to see Kate taking up that role with the Youth Council, and hopefully that sits on the agenda straight up of what can we do in the space of supporting all children in that, or all young adults in that age group, but also young women, and making them feel comfortable to network and branch out and meet new people and network.
Thank you very much. Okay, one final call for any questions from the floor, ladies and gentlemen. One final call. Thank you very much. Well, with that, we will thank very much each of the candidates for attending this evening, and Wendy and Paul via Zoom. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for attending and showing your interest in our Meet the Candidates evening. Thank you to John Hodgins for live streaming the event and also recording it, so people can watch it again later on. And also thank you very much to Georgie for headlining this, and for Cherie for all of her assistance as well. I think you'll all agree it's been a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing what this new council is made up of, no matter how it may be, and who those candidates who will be successful in the election come December 4. So thank you very much once again for being here, and we certainly hope you've got something out of this evening. But on behalf of the Inverell Chamber of Commerce and Industry, thank you very much. Good night and God bless.